Hi everyone, Nigel Saunders here. Today's video is going to be all about updates. That coming up in the bonsai zone. I'm going to start today's video with an update to my royal oak acorns that I planted in fall. I planted some of the acorns outside in the cold to stratify them for the winter, and some other ones I planted and kept in my plant room. And they're starting to sprout. Here's a shot of my first royal oaks coming up. This was the very first one, and it's getting its first miniature oak leaves on it. This one's just starting to germinate, and you can see a bit of green on the top. Lots of the acorns in the pot are splitting open, and they'll be growing fairly soon. I was keeping a bottle of royal oak seeds in the plant room, just as a backup in case I wanted to plant more in spring. And because they're in the plant room and they get a bit of misting when I'm misting the trees, they actually started growing, and that's when I first noticed any activity in my royal oaks. Here's a shot looking in the top of the bottle, and you can see the roots growing out of the oaks, and some of them are even getting some green leaves showing. I've taken an acorn out of the bottle, and you can see the root growing out of the bottom of the acorn, and it'll split on the sides, and that's where the stem with the leaves will come out. I'll keep track of all these seedlings to see which do better over the summer, the ones that were grown indoors or the ones that are stratifying outside. I'm hoping by the time spring rolls around, I have lots of little royal oak trees growing, and then we can start the bonsai process on them. I was in the second-hand store looking for a used tripod for my Canada arm, and my wife spotted these, which she thought were dried bananas, and it turns out they're carpook seeds. In the last video with my carpook trees, I had pruned them back quite severely to shorten the height and get more branching starting down lower. So they're growing in really nicely, getting all their new leaves now. So that operation was a success. The fluff inside the carpook seeds was used for stuffing life preservers, mattresses, pillows, and that kind of thing. So let's open them up and have a look. The seeds are kept inside this bag to keep them dry, probably so they don't split open, I'm not sure. It was a very unusual thing to find in a second-hand store. There they are. I'm going to crack one open and see what it's like inside. There we go. Interesting pattern there. And here's all the fluffy seeds. Oh, they're very fluffy. Feels like little marshmallows. That's really cool. Oh yeah, very... I can see that blowing in the wind. Oh my goodness. Reminds me of a milkweed pod. They say when you're planting these just to pull out all the fluff with the seeds. Seeds and all. I can feel the seeds. There's the seeds in there. See them there? That looks like the seeds I planted long ago. Wow, cool. Well, I'll open one up and I'll try planting the seeds and see if they grow. There's a close-up of the insides with all the fuzzy stuffing and the seeds. Next up, we go back to the world of 3D printing. Previously, I 3D printed a miniature landscape bonsai pot, and now I'm making a table to go underneath it. I printed all the pieces for the table in 2 runs. The first time I printed the frame, which will sit like that, and the second time I printed the tabletop insert and the decorative molding that goes between the legs. So some assembly will be required. The 3D printer at the library that I'm using has a heated bed, so the plastic sticks down to the bed to stop the piece warping while it's being printed. Sometimes you do get a bit of warping. You can see in the corner here it lifted off the bed and it's got a bit of a curl to it. So I'm going to try and fix that. Here's a close-up of that corner that just curled down a bit. That was the only one out of the 4 corners that didn't work out perfect. My plan is to get the soldering iron and just gently heat the corner and bend it back by hand. Hopefully I won't make it worse, but I guess we'll find out. The soldering iron's good and warm now, so I'm going to try heating the edge here. Just got to wait for the whole part to heat up. That whole corner. Trying not to burn my hand. Yeah, that's quite soft now, the plastic, and I'm able to form it with my fingers. Well, it's not perfect, but it's better than it was, so I'll have to be satisfied with that. Here's a close-up of that damaged corner now. It looks a little better. It'll have to do. Next, I'm going to separate all the pieces. I'll just break them off. That. And there's our tabletop. I have to take the burrs off, but that'll fit. Right in like that. I'm just going to use a small file. I've got the burrs filed away, and I'm just test fitting it into the table. It's a little tight in this one corner, so I'm just going to take a little bit more off. Just file it down a bit more. I'm ready to super glue the tabletop in now, so I'll put some dabs of glue. And again, I'll try not to glue my fingers to the plastic. I probably should be using gloves. Okay, so here we go. I'm going to drop it into the tabletop here and push it down flush with the top of the table, holding that down, pushing the tabletop down. A little bit of glue on my fingers, but not too much. Let's turn it around, have a look, make sure it's looking good. Yeah, it looks good. I think that'll do it for that. The next step will be to clean up my fretwork and glue it in to the edge of the table. So I'll get these tabs removed. I can just cut these tabs off with the scissors. Yeah, and then I'll come in with the file and just clean that up. So I'm all ready to glue this piece in. I'm going to do it upside down and just kind of put it in the middle between the legs, so it's inset just slightly. Okay, here goes. Get out the super glue. I just put it along the edge here. There it comes. I'm always scared of squirting it out, that it doesn't go all over the place. Okay, and this is the side that faces outwards. And I just glue it straight down in between the legs. And I'm just going to line it up perfectly here. Pushing it down. I'll just hold it in place for a while, and it should dry quite nicely. Yeah, that looks good. I like it. I've got the one in place, and now I'll fit all the others and glue those in too, and then we'll come back and have a look at it. Here's a shot with the table all completed. It went together really nicely. Here's a shot of the table with my fingers so you can see the size of everything. It's quite miniature. The leaves are just starting to come out on the sarissas. I've also printed out a white pot here. It's the same as my larger oval pot, except I added two little beads or two little ridges along the outer edge. So I'm going to glue the feet onto that next, and we'll see what it looks like on top of the table. I'm going to glue the little feet onto the white pot now. I've left these little tabs on the side so I know where to position the feet. They go right about there. So they just stick past those tabs a little. And when they're glued on, I'll clean these off. I've got the feet glued in position now, so now I can remove these little tabs that stick out. So I'll just rough cut them with the scissors at first. And then clean them up with a file. Here's the pot all cleaned up. You can see the size of it with my hand. I look like a giant, don't I? I think it looks quite miniature. I'm going to look forward to planting something in this pot. I'm going to glue the feet onto my largest oval pot now. So using the same technique, leaving the tabs on so I can line the feet up so I have a reference point on the oval, and I'll glue them in place. I've got the feet glued on this large oval pot now, so now I can cut away my tabs here. And then file them flush using my little tiny file. I've got my large oval pot all glued up now, and I'm going to finish it. And this pot, I'm going to paint it to look like a ceramic pot. In the 3D printing world, they call it post-processing, where you smooth out your 3D print. So I've got some crackle paint that I bought from the craft store, and I'm going to try it out and try and get a ceramic look to this pot. After it's all painted up, I'll coat it with a clear coat of epoxy to seal it all in and make it really look like a ceramic pot.